Hey guys, what's up? I hope you guys are having an amazing week, and I hope you're going to have a great Thursday as you're tuning into this devotional. My name is Jin. I'm the director of the college ministry here at Living Hope. And this whole week we've been in the middle of Passion Week, and every day we've been releasing a short devotional that has been continuing our sermon series through the book of John. And we've been just honing in on some key characters that have been introduced into the story of Jesus as we are leading up to his crucifixion and resurrection. Our hope and our prayer is that through these devotions that you would be more encouraged to make time to be connected with Jesus and to really be prepared to celebrate his sacrifice for our behalf on this coming weekend. And so today, the character that we are going to be focused on is going to be Pontius Pilate. And the story of Pontius Pilate actually spans from John chapter 18, verse 33, all the way up to John chapter 19, verse 16. But for the sake of time, I'm just going to be reading the first 3 verses of our introduction to Pontius Pilate. And it goes like this. So Pilate entered his headquarters again and called Jesus and said to him, "Are you the king of the Jews?" Jesus answered, "Do you say this of your own accord, or did others say it about me? Am I a Jew? Your own nation and the chief priests have delivered you over to me. What have you done?" And so what happened is that the religious leaders of the day, the Jewish leaders, have planned and plotted to kill Jesus. And the way that they planned and plotted to kill Jesus is to actually bring Jesus before Pontius Pilate, who is a Roman governor of the day, and who has the authority to choose or decide whether or not someone deserves to be executed or not. And so the religious leaders bring Jesus before Pontius Pilate and claim that Jesus has been causing a disruption and that he has been lying and that he is causing a riot against Caesar. And so now Pontius Pilate is trying to have this moment with Jesus to really figure out what is going on. And the interesting thing is as he's beginning to talk with Jesus, he begins to realize that Jesus actually has not done anything wrong, and yet there is an angry crowd outside yelling for him to be crucified. And so Pontius Pilate is faced with a tough decision. And if we continue to read on the rest of the verses, we can begin to see that Pontius Pilate begins to have a tough time making a decision. He gets really wishy-washy, and he keeps saying that Jesus has done nothing wrong, and yet time and time again he hasn't been able to have the courage to fully release Jesus, to let him be free, but instead succumbs to the cries of the Jewish leaders and actually proclaims that Jesus must be crucified. And so for today's devotional, the kind of question I want us to sit on today is, how do we respond when we have a difficult decision to make? I don't know about you, but I don't know that if I'm a great decision maker. I'm one of those people that whenever I face a tough decision, I think about it, I research about it, and I think about it some more, and then I overthink about it. And sometimes I've had moments where I failed to make a decision because I was thinking about it for so long. My wife, on the other hand, she's kind of the opposite spectrum of decision making. She doesn't need to think about it that long. She doesn't need to plan about it that long. If she knows she wants it, she's gonna go and get it. A few weeks ago, it snowed up in Lake Arrowhead. The very next morning, she woke me up and told me that we are going to a day trip up in the mountains. I also get to work with college students here, and surprisingly, the college students here are pretty good at making decisions. The problem with college students here is not that they're bad at making decisions, it's that they're bad at keeping their decisions. They'll say to me, "Pastor Jin, I want to come and serve at the church." And then I'll say, "That's awesome." And the next week I'll be like, "Hey, where you at?" And they said, "Oh, I had a final on Tuesday," right? And so the question I want us to all think about today is, how do we respond when we face a tough decision? Because I want us to understand is that in the world that we live in today, and in the middle of our business and hecticness, every single day, we have an opportunity where we must decide and make a decision to either honor and trust Jesus with our lives, or to follow into the ways of the world. And so the question for you and I is, when our life is becoming overrun with financial burdens, do we give in to the ways of the world and choose selfishness and choose greed and choose to become more me-focused to get ahead? Or do we trust in the ways of Jesus and buy in to the reality that we should be generous with our time, we should be generous with our money? When we are living in a world where there is so much violence and so much anger and so much hatred and so much brokenness that is going around, do we let that seep into our souls and cause us to become hopeless, cause us to become discouraged? Or actually does that remind us that we must be at the feet of Jesus, to submit to Him, to surrender to Him, to recognize that He is the one who is on the throne. Living Hope, I want to encourage you guys that as we are spending these few days leading up to Good Friday and Easter Sunday, let us be intentional about the decisions that we are making. Let us be intentional that every decision that we are making is a decision we are making to honor God, to trust God, to live for God, to obey God. Because we must recognize that we are living in a world that is screaming at us and yelling at us, telling us to go about it their way, telling us to take the shortcuts, telling us to live self-centeredly, telling us to live it our way, telling us to pursue comfort, telling us to live in a way that will actually pull us away from our relationship with Jesus. And each and every morning we have an opportunity to say we are going to shut those voices out and make the decision to put ourselves at the foot of the cross. Living Hope, I want to encourage you that as we go into Good Friday tomorrow and Easter Sunday, I want to remind you that you get a chance to choose Jesus, to choose Jesus over your sin, to choose Jesus over your mistakes, to choose Jesus over your past. And see, I want you to know we have the opportunity to choose Jesus over all of these things because Jesus has already chosen you. Living Hope, let's make the decision to choose Jesus. From darkness to light, we hope to see you with us at Living Hope this Easter Sunday.